Today on the CTV News at 5, trying to save Chinatown. 2 historic buildings are determined to be unsafe. Plus, looking at the impact of poverty, unemployment, and living in overcrowded housing on Aboriginal people. And in sports, the votes are being tallied for the TSN Craft Celebration Tour.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The Lethbridge Main Street project is providing some emergency funding to help prevent the collapse of 2 historic buildings in downtown Lethbridge. The buildings are in what's known as Chinatown. They've been declared unsafe, and at least one longtime resident is getting help finding a temporary place to live nearby. Terry Boat reports.
The buildings are among the oldest in Chinatown, dating back to 1908. One is the Boan Tong building, the other is known as the Mani Opera Society and Canton Chop Suey House. About 2 months ago, a neighboring property owner noticed a large vertical crack in one of the walls was growing, and part of the building appeared to be sagging.
Well, mainly water damage, lack of care. So the water in the rear of the building has damaged the foundations.
The owners have agreed to voluntarily close the buildings on the advice of an architect and engineers who say the structural condition is no longer safe.
Basically, we just got the word that we got to move out. The building is going to be condemned.
One of the buildings was being rented out by the Desert Wind belly dancers. They were given about 3 hours' notice to pack up and move out. Part owner and longtime resident of the other building, 72-year-old Albert Leong, is getting help to relocate nearby along with his cats.
It's very important for the owner to be close to the property. He has lived here his entire life.
The buildings have never been officially designated historic sites, but they are considered to be significant. Priorities not only to Lethbridge, but also on a provincial and national scale.
The number of buildings is quite small, but the relationship among the buildings is unparalleled in terms of what's existing in other communities.
This is our history of Lethbridge. This is the story of us, all people who live in Lethbridge. So it's important. It connects us all.
There is about $85,000 available to help with funding this project, but officials admit that probably won't cover the entire cost if they have to restore the buildings. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The man who's being relocated, Albert Leong, has requested privacy at this time. Friends say he wants people to know, though, that he is grateful for the help he's receiving from Main Street, Lethbridge, and the city. Okay, Dory, average temperatures for this time of year around 26 degrees. Starting tomorrow, we're going to be above that.
Yep, we are. We're going to be starting to see the climb, specifically when we get into the weekend. We get into the low 30s for the most part. My numbers for the 5-day forecast could even be a little conservative at this point. I've gone with the low 30s, but some of the forecast models are putting the numbers in at 33 or 34 degrees for Sunday. So just bear that in mind. But yeah, definitely. Bottom line, warm air is on the way. I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. The BC coroner confirms that Glee actor Corey Monteith died from an overdose of heroin and alcohol combined.
There's absolutely nothing at this point, no evidence to suggest this is anything other than the most sad and tragic accident.
Monteith was found deceased in his room at the Fairmont Pacific Rim Hotel in downtown Vancouver on Saturday. Monteith's family has been notified. The investigation into the death by the coroner's office continues, but no further details will be released until the report is concluded. Lethbridge Regional Police have been busy investigating a couple of alleged frauds. A 37-year-old Lethbridge man is accused of using fake checks to buy his groceries. Police say over a 4-day period, the man bought $5,600 worth of groceries, cigarettes, and electronics with several bad checks. Jeffrey Goodwin is charged with fraud, and police have also charged a 23-year-old Raymond man after several empty envelopes were deposited into a bank ATM and then money was withdrawn. Tyler Kendall Seaborn is charged as well. 24-year-old woman faces fraud charges in connection with an alleged fundraising scam for Alberta flood victims. Edmonton police arrested a suspect who was allegedly asking for donations inside an Edmonton grocery store. Police were first alerted to a potential scam back on July the 5th after getting reports that a woman was selling donuts. It's believed the operation moved to Fort Saskatchewan 2 days later. Police say the victims had their credit or debit card skimmed after making their purchase by doing what they thought was a good deed. Shaylin Whitney Lewis faces a number of fraud charges. Police expect more victims to come forward as word gets out about the alleged scam. And Southern Alberta flood victims will be able to get some free legal advice over the next couple of days. Free legal sessions are being held in Medicine Hat tomorrow afternoon from noon until 2 p.m. at the Public Library. And then on Thursday at the Lethbridge and Calgary legal guidance teams are teaming up to offer help to those impacted in the southwestern region. That session runs from 10 a.m. until noon at the Culver Room in Lethbridge City Hall. Anyone who wants to attend has to register first by calling 403-380-6338. A new study at the University of Lethbridge is looking to see how economic and social stressors affect Aboriginal people. The study will look into how repeated and chronic exposure to stresses like poverty, unemployment, single parenthood, and living in overcrowded housing adversely affects health and biological development. The study hopes to improve population health and wellness by identifying social conditions before they become problems. Researchers believe that this kind of a study is important in learning how to relieve these stressors and how stress can negatively affect the health of those involved. The study will start in October of this year and will likely take 3 to 4 years to complete. Kids have been out of school for about a month now, and they are staying active during the summer. And this is one of the ways they're doing it. The University of Lethbridge is offering day camps for kids who want to learn a new skill, whether it's playing in the gym or conquering their fear of heights. The camps encourage kids to be kids. It's also teaching them how to gain self-confidence and introduces them to an activity or sport they may not have known of. Organizers say it's a great way for kids to get out of the house, stay active, and have some fun while learning a new skill.
Anybody can register for them. We go from ages 8 to 14, and then we just hang out for a week and do some climbing. They really like it. It's good because they can challenge themselves because it's super individual, so they can always just push past their own record and they don't have to worry about anybody else. It's all what they can do.
Other camps the university offers includes Leader of Tomorrow, science activities, and Crime Busters, where kids solve mock crimes. Canada's federal communications regulator has rejected a call to double the cost of using a payphone. Right now, it costs about 50 cents to make a local call. The proposal was to boost it up to $1. The CRTC says it doesn't know exactly how many payphones are actually left in Canada. Many Southern Albertans say while they don't use the payphones, they should still be available.
I don't think it affects most people, but I do think there is still a need for payphones. Not everyone has cell phones, and it's often the most vulnerable who don't have access to that.
Just about everybody, even like I'm an old crock, and I have a cell phone. So, you know, I imagine most people nowadays do have one.
I don't think they should take them out. They should have them. People have emergencies and all the time, and not everybody can afford to have a cell phone.
In downtown, I see a lot of homeless people that use payphones because they don't have a cell phone, but that's the only population that I see using the payphone, so it would suck for them if they were gone.
The very first handheld mobile phone was invented by this man, Dr. Martin Cooper of Motorola, back in 1973. The handset weighed just over 2 pounds. Cell phones didn't really catch on until the late 1980s, but by 2011 there were over 6 billion mobile phone subscriptions worldwide. Tonight on Farm TV, why it's so important to use insecticides properly.
A featured speaker at the 2013 Farming Smarter Field School was Dr. Hector Carcamo from the Lethbridge Research Center.
My topic today at the Farming Smarter Field School was on beneficial arthropods. It's not a term that we use every day, but it's more encompassing than just saying insects. You know, insects are six-legged organisms, like we all know all the insect pests, like pea leaf, weevil, wheatstem sawfly. Those are insects. Spiders and mites and ticks, those are not insects. They have 8 legs. They have only 2 body parts. They lack antenna. They belong to a different group.
Dr. Carcamo showed the producers how to make and use in-ground traps.
My point today and the take-home message that I try to deliver is that all farms, in fact, all habitats have a very rich fauna of these beneficial arthropods. Do not spray insecticides unless you really have to. And we realize that many insect pests are managed through the judicious use of insecticides. So follow the economic thresholds.
Farm TV is brought to you by DA Building Systems.
Markets where the dollar closed up today. Coming up, we're going to have more on the forecast when we come back.